He's a senior phaco surgeon. Sir, please start sharing your screen when I introduce you. He's a senior phaco surgeon from Ahmedabad. He's an ophthalmic innovator and a patent holder for some ophthalmic instruments like a double tooth phaco chopper. He has designed a protective slit lamp breath shield in these corona times. He is the vice president of Gujarat Ophthalmic Society. He is also the secretary of Ahmedabad Ophthalmic Society, doing great work. His son Parth is a good retina surgeon too. So that indicates how senior he is. Now I would invite Dr. Parth Rana to Dr. Jagdish Rana to speak on his experiences with COVID in the recent times. Take over, please. Sorry.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, friends. And at the outset, I am thankful to Dr. Mukesh and Dr. Suketu and Rajkot Ophthalmical Society for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to present my topic on my practical pulse to deal with COVID. So these are the basic terminology. What is coronavirus? It's a family of viruses ranging from common cold to SARS. What is COVID-19? We know it's a coronavirus 19. It's an infectious disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2. And these are the terminology. This is terminology which we are worried of as a ophthalmologist. Aerosol. It's a droplet smaller than 5 microns. It can stay suspended for half an hour before drifting down and settling down on the surface, where it can linger for hours. But the amount of the visible virus is decreased sharply over this time. The important thing is viruses can survive up to 72 hours on steel and plastic surfaces. So our phaco probe and other instrument equipment which are there in OT, there it can survive. 24 hours on cardboard and mail packages, and 4 hours that's poorly on copper. So this we have to keep in mind while going through or managing our patients. So my pulse for managing waiting room, I will directly move on my topic, that is single entry and exit. One patient, one relative strictly to be followed. Keep doors and windows open. Thermal screening for all, that is patient, relative, staff and doctor all. Alcohol-based sanitizer for all. Hand sanitizer dispenser or automatic or foot operated should be installed in our waiting room. So this is the infrared thermal gun or scanner which has been distributed by our ophthalmic society to our all members. This is the sanitizer which is again it's distributed by our society to our all members. And automatic hand sanitizer which is dispensed. This is also distributed to our members in these tough corona times. So in waiting room, another thing which is told to be followed is face mask for all. No mask, no entry. Physical distancing, minimum 3 feet distance while sitting in the waiting room. Avoid long waiting periods. We have to plan the appointment schedule, and fumigation or sanitizer should be done after each consulting session. So my pulse for the consulting room include restrict OPD hours. No accompanying person should be allowed with the patient except children or the old aged patient. No visiting chair in the consulting room. My pulse for the staff includes training and education of the staff is very, very important, because these are the person with whom we are spending our whole day during this consulting time. So if they are infected, we are definitely going to get infection from that our staff. 3-ply surgical mask is must for our staff. Separate dress for hospital is important. It's a customized PPE kit for our staff, which includes separate dress for the OT, 3-ply surgical mask, shoe cover and cap over the head, and wearing a face shield and the gloves, and frequent use of hand sanitizer is also must for our staff. This is a face shield which has been distributed to our society, to our members. It's a very cheap and it covers the whole of the face, including nose, eye and mouth, which are the route of entry for coronavirus infection. It also includes physical distancing between the staff, because many of the time they sit too close to each other and spread infection from one staff to another staff, and it may lead to a doctor also. So we have to avoid cash transaction if possible, and they have to accept the cash in a tray, and later on we have to sanitize it. And my pulse for the surgeon include wear separate dress for the consulting. You have to change it daily, and 95 or 3-ply surgical mask. Transparent protective glass or the face shield should be there. And we want to speak as minimum as possible. We have to cut short our chair time with the patient. There are the N95 mask with or without respiratory valve which has been distributed to our member recently. It also includes to have a transparent breath shield on the slit lamp, which is must. And my video regarding this is available on YouTube, how to make a breath shield from a simple transparent sheet. We don't have to touch any surface unless necessary. Example, the old records of the patient. And we have to use alcohol-based hand sanitizer before and after examination of each patient, which is must. This is a transparent brace seal which is applied on my slit lamp. I have applied it on my all slit lamp, including the Yaglaz's slit lamp also. And bare below the elbow is the principal. We have to fold the sleeves up to elbow while examining the patient, because we have to move our hand towards the eye of a patient and to move the light source from left to right while examining the anterior segment. And no belt or no wallet should be there. And my pulse for the operation includes, it must be day care, routine X-ray chest if indicated or possible. Quickest possible surgery procedure should be used. Topical anesthesia is preferable. There should be minimum staff in OT, or there will be a batch of a staff for the OT. Say if staff one is there in one OT, second staff should be there in a second OT, so that if they get infected, we have a spare staff for our operation theater. 3-ply surgical mask is must for the patient. Betadine drops are applied twice before the surgery into the patient's conjunctiva. You have to wear HIV kit for all non-COVID patient and full body suit for the COVID-19 patient. 20-minute timeout between the surgery is preferable. OT surface cleaning should be done with 1% sodium hypochlorite twice weekly. Fumigation should be done after each OT, and autoclave linen and instrument after each OT. Regarding the cleaning, we have to clean the floor and furniture with 1% sodium hypochlorite. We have to clean equipment with alcohol swab or a sterilium. We also have to disinfect our door handles. So the sodium hypochlorite, which has been distributed and specially made for us Ophthalmic Society members, 10%. By a company in Ahmedabad, and so we have to dilute it 10 times, and it is useful for the sanitizing our floor and furniture. So the take-home message includes no mask, no entry, thermal screening for all, that is staff, patient and relatives, physical distancing, minimum 3 feet between the two persons in a waiting room, frequent use of alcohol-based sanitizer after touching any new surface. Training and educating the staff is very, very important, because the staff are the, as I explained, staff are the person we are lying or the staying for the whole day with us in a consulting room. Transplant brace shield is for the slit lamp is must. Separate dress, that is our customized PPE kit for the consulting. 1% sodium hypochlorite for the surface cleaning, and alcohol swab with the sterilium for cleaning equipment. So we do not have to touch your mouth or nose with your own hand until it is sterilized. So stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for nicely summarizing all the protocols. We were also looking at you detailing some of your personal experiences in the recent weeks. If you can add a few words about them, it will be nice.
It was from our, say, one of our staff. There is a typical history. That's why I was continuously emphasizing on my training and educating our staff, because one of our staff was having fever, started treatment by general practitioner, started paracetamol and Jiffy, and patient came continuously for 2 days. Though we are checking temperature by thermal gun, naturally because patient was taking paracetamol, thermal gun was revealing that it is in a green temperature, I think less than 90, 97. But after 2 or 3 days, she complained of tiredness. Then on taking, she told that I am having fever since 3 days. I am taking paracetamol from my general practitioner doctor. Then we realized that she might be having a corona. So we explained her, so you should go home. At least 15 days you are not coming to our hospital, and at that moment only we asked her to leave the consulting room. We talked with her parents. The parents were not ready to go under the corona testing. That was before 1 to 1.5 months at the time, where the hype was very much regarding this over COVID or corona.
So
after 5 or
denial
6
of
days,
the possibility is a real concern for
because
the
they are
staff.
not educated. They are not educated. So after explaining to her father that it is not the endangering us, but it endangering your health also, because if she is positive, you all will get positive and you all will be in trouble. Then they underwent the RT-PCR test, and then she turns to be positive. Then she was under treatment and admitted. And then the history go on repeating. Another staff got infected. Then my son, Dr. Parth, also get infected. So staff training and educating the staff is very, very much important. We are explaining them that not only in the hospital, outside the hospital, also they should take care of not getting infected from the corona.
Right. So Dr. Parth got it from a staff, most likely, it looks like.
Yeah.
I would like to ask Priya and Dr. Kulkarni also, what do you think was the source of the infection, if at all there can be any pinpointers?
Well, for me, I think it was probably infection which has probably come up from the hospital itself. So that's what I feel, that yes, the hospital-based infections, they are they play a very important role for us doctors, exactly, because you don't know who is coming in, who is going out. You don't know if that person is asymptomatic. We might say that we are taking temperature of the patient, with the handheld gun and all that stuff. But you actually do not really know if that patient is in day 1 or day 2. He's not going to show you fever. So you really don't know who is coming and who is going out. So the sad part of this entire pandemic is that more doctors are getting hit as compared to others, because they are the ones who directly come into contact with so many people during the day. So
Exactly.
I think, yeah.
That is the object of this exercise, that we as doctors need to take extra precautions. And
Absolutely.
Not all patients are symptomatic. Even some are afebrile, probably.
They are afebrile. They are asymptomatic carriers. So you do not know who that person is.
Right. Dr. Kulkarni, if you're there, can you comment on the
source?
Yeah,
very difficult to say, but though we're following strict precautions here, wearing a K95 mask, and I literally stopped doing fundus examination because right now ophthalmologists are in a better position to see fundus because they take more precautions. So that's why I stopped doing fundus examination. But
good to know
I
that
do.
Neurologists see fundus also.
Yeah, it's very important. Without fundus,
I know you're. Yeah.
So the others important tip is to try to restrict your examination as much as possible. See, it is probably easier for us in being in our field because our field is more reliable. It still relies more on history, and then ask the patient to walk. You get 90% of the information. For example, in examining a patient of fundus, apart from headache, from papilledema, you really don't get any other information. So if your history is very, very clear that the patient has migraine aura, you can be very confident that you don't need to examine the fundus. So use such tips, and then you can skip. And even for example, your back pain examination, see, an SLR would do in a law, it will suffice most often. There is no bladder involvement. You ask him sensation is okay. If SLR is reasonably okay, you can examine him from a distance and then say that, okay, you probably do not have significant disc prolapse at this time. So conservative treatment at this moment of time would suffice. So, and spend some time when he is entering the room, a gate will give a lot of information. So these things are very useful. As far as source is concerned, very difficult to say because we had a lot of COVID patients. I used to go there once a week to give some opinions, but followed all the strict over the PPEs. Maybe in the OPD, it might have slipped. I don't know. Difficult to say, but can't really say from where I got it.
Right, sir. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kulkarni.
Dr.
Dr.
Mukesh,
Rana,
yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. One point I want to suggest to our doctor, that now we are having a fundus camera which can have a fundus photo undilated. So that will be
Yes,
much
yes,
good.
yes.
We don't have to do direct ophthalmoscopy, and papilloda can be identified without going near to the patient.
Yes,
And
that's
second
what I am doing now. Yeah, thank you.
And
Yeah.
second thing, if we are wearing a mask and patient is wearing a mask, then 90% of the chances of getting infected are gone. So that is the key. We should also wear a mask. Patient should also wear the mask, and then you forget about the corona. It's not going to get infect us. That is the main thing.
Right.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
point. Well taken, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Jagdish Rana, for detailing us with your experience as well as the protocols in dealing with COVID in this scenario. We'd like to move on to the last aspect of